Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Horizons episode 30, the slippery, clangy mystery Pokemon. This was the 1262nd episode of the Pokemon anime and a really fun Pokemon focused episode. We also got a special preview for some upcoming episodes, so let's break it all down. Lico's opening recap talks about how they are on the hunt for Lucius's 6 heroes, but they have no idea where to look next, and I think they have quietly left the Galar region without making a big deal about it. In their downtime, the days on the Brave Olivine are either fun and exciting, or fun and relaxing, and today we see Lico and Roy doing some training with Cap. This was more for comedic effect than it was showing off an actual battle, and it was funny seeing these two firing off attacks with their eyes closed, and somehow managing to hit literally every double team clone except for the real Cap. He easily dodges their attacks and toys with Fuecoco, running up to it and taunting it. Then they start charging at one another for a Thunder Punch versus Tackle collision, but what's that on the ground? It's some kind of purple liquid, and Fuecoco slips on it, crash landing into the force field around the wing deck. Everyone stops to investigate what just happened, and Cap is the only one who notices something floating away in the distance. Cut to later that evening, and Roy is going to investigate the strange liquid, which Lico is explaining to her grandma. This interaction felt surprisingly natural to me, like this is actually how I would expect a grandparent and grandchild to talk to one another. Lico is slightly awkward, and that makes perfect sense because as a kid, you'd interact with your grandmother way differently than you would with your friends. I'm really overanalyzing stuff here because the scene wasn't super important, but I think it was just another small example of the way Horizons effectively writes each of its characters and their interactions between one another. Moving on to an important plot point, Lico notices a teacup with a chip in it, but Diana intentionally has it sitting out because she wants to test something. Just then, they all hear a strange noise, like something fell off in the distance. Lico and her Pokemon want to go investigate, while Diana stays behind, and it looks like Terapagos mainly just hangs out with her for now. Checking in with Roy, he and Fuecoco have not found anything related to the purple liquid. Good timing though, that shadowy figure is right behind them. It floats away, but not before dropping some more of that liquid, which of course Fuecoco slips over again. While Roy rushes off to save his clumsy partner, it's revealed to be a poltergeist behind all of this. We follow this seemingly innocent Pokemon and watch it run into Pawmi, which accidentally knocks its hat off, and Lico hears this. It's the same sound as before. They start chasing the sound and hear that familiar clang once again, but they haven't seen Poltergeist yet. Lico is a little scared and frustrated because she hasn't seen anything, but we cut to Poltergeist struggling for some reason. Oh, it's gotten stuck on muck. Yeah, if you haven't picked up on this already, this episode heavily features the wild Pokemon living aboard the Brave Olivine, so if a lot of these Pokemon don't seem that familiar to you, well, they have just been in the background the entire time, not really doing anything super important until now. So while Poltergeist is stuck to the back of a sleepy Alolan Muck, Dot is in the kitchen looking for a late night snack. They're out of Shuckle's berry juice, and I loved how Snowrun sleeps in the fridge. Guess who happens to walk in at this exact moment? It's Shuckle, and Dot gets ready to drink some berry juice directly from the source, which Quaxly is freaking out about. Dot's reaction is really funny, asking what's wrong with drinking right from the tap. She eventually gives in to Quaxly's wish and has Shuckle pour them each a glass of berry juice, and while they're both enjoying their drink, we see that Muck has arrived at the kitchen with Poltergeist in tow. It looks absolutely horrified at the sight of Dot and Quaxly drinking something from another Pokemon, although a large part of this episode featured a lot of Pokemon behavior without dialogue, so it is kind of up to interpretation what exactly is happening. Dot and Quaxly leave the room when they see Muck waiting to enter, and Poltergeist makes one last desperate attempt to free itself, and it's successful, flinging itself towards Shuckle, only for Cap to jump in front of them out of nowhere to make the save. Poltergeist is thankful for being saved, but quickly turns its attention to something else. Oh boy, it looks like Poltergeist wants the smoke, and Shuckle is its target. This was especially funny watching Poltergeist get all warmed up to fight, while Shuckle just kept minding its own business in the background. Cap understands what Poltergeist wants, and just as Shuckle is about to leave, Cap is like, hey, this newcomer is calling you out. And in an absolutely hilarious scene, Shuckle starts to make its way back towards Cap and Poltergeist, but Shuckle moves about as fast as a Shuckle, which is incredibly slow. Snowrunt even comes over to help at one point, and Shuckle is overjoyed to be getting pushed around. It's so happy and innocent, which is the opposite of the others in this moment. While we wait for Shuckle to make its way back across the kitchen, we see that it's time for Lico to go to bed. She and her Pokemon lay down to rest, but are immediately jolted awake by the same sound as before. They, of course, go off to investigate, and it looks like Roy is about to call it a night before he and Fuecoco find a huge trail of purple liquid, so their search continues as well. Elsewhere on the ship, Quaxly is suspiciously lurking around the entrance to the airship's hull, but absolutely freaks out when it gets caught in the act. Liko and Sprigatito ask what Quaxly is doing at this time of night, and it tries to play it cool even though it's sweating bullets, and Sprigatito knows it's guilty. Roy and Fuecoco join the party, so Quaxly knows the jig is up. The sight of the purple liquid and that clanging sound leads them down below, and as they sneak down the ramp, we see a group of Pokemon huddled in a circle. Liko, Roy, and their Pokemon sneak into position to watch, and oh, it's Poltegeist in the middle of the ring opposite of Shuckle. Hold on. Do not tell me Cap is running a secret Pokemon fight club aboard the Brave Olivine at night. Roy gets out his Pokedex to learn about Poltegeist, and I seriously can't believe what I'm seeing right now, and Liko can't believe that even Terapagos is involved in this too. Amidst all this shock, the battle rages on between Poltegeist and Shuckle. Poltegeist is struggling to break down Shuckle's defense, and the super slow Pokemon goes on the offensive, with, I'm assuming, either Gyro Ball or Rapid Spin. And this knocks off Poltegeist's hat and causes it to drip out some tea, which confirms to Liko and Roy that it's responsible for the mysterious things they were investigating. Shuckle flies in with another Rapid Spin, but Poltegeist dodges after Cap yells at it to get out of the way. This causes Shuckle to smash into some boxes of berries, but we see that Shuckle is unharmed. Poltegeist is surprised, but shakes this off, ready to keep on fighting. However, it's stopped by the sound of all the other Pokemon who seem to be cheering for Poltegeist and acknowledging and accepting it, which Poltegeist cannot believe. Cap and Shuckle give their own seals of approval, and Poltegeist is so overwhelmed with joy at being accepted by its new friends that it uses Tea Time, Poltegeist's signature move. This causes a ton of nearby teacups to float around, and Poltegeist pours everyone some of its tea. Everyone is so happy in this scene. It's infectious watching on, and all the Pokemon are excited to celebrate together. Maybe Poltegeist wasn't scared when it saw Dot drinking Shuckle's berry juice, but rather it was jealous that no one wanted to drink some of its tea. The in-game effect of the move Tea Time is for everyone to eat their held berries, and that kind of happens here as well, as Roy notes how it's obvious that all the Pokemon are having a ton of fun. Liko says to Quaxly that they must be getting up to these hijinks all the time without anyone else knowing, and Quaxly leads the other Paldean starters off to join the party. Roy wants to get in on the action himself, but Liko stops him and says that they should leave this and let it be the Pokemon's special time together, without humans. Roy agrees, and as they sneak back off to bed, everyone else celebrates Tea Time, and Shuckle even offers Poltegeist a citrus berry. Everyone is such good friends. Cap officially welcomes Poltegeist to the crew, fist bumping it in a miniature version of the Rising Voltacular's secret handshake. The party continues until guess who starts walking off without a care in the world towards some tea on the ground. Yep, everyone saw this one coming, but they all get in position to help Fuecoco. Such a wholesome moment. With that, Poltegeist is officially on the team, and I loved watching the scene so much. Nothing but good times and positive vibes. The next day, it's lunchtime and everyone is chowing down, even the Pokemon who weren't at Pokemon Fight Club last night. All the partygoers are exhausted after staying up late, but Poltegeist is hanging around with everyone in the open, so Liko and Roy are quick to point this out to Freed when he shows up. Freed is like, oh cool, a Poltegeist, which surprised the kids because he's not making a very big deal about this. Freed's just like, it's another new friend, and walks away, so Liko and Roy get all suspicious about this reaction, but the other members of the crew are quick to point out that they are the ones acting strangely, because this kind of stuff happens all the time. New Pokemon come aboard the airship, and it doesn't matter how and why, but as long as everyone has a good time, that's what's important. Freed ruins the moment by spitting out his drink, and hold on a second, something looks off here. Freed's cup of tea is actually a Sinistea, and wait, that's gotta be Diantha's teacup from before. She's excited to see that her test was a success and explains that Poltegeist can create Sinistea by pouring their tea into certain teacups. So I guess that means they're related, kinda? And we see Sinistea snuggling up next to its parents for a nap, and with that, the episode comes to an end. If you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed this episode. It was so fun, and I just love the way it played out. Poltegeist becoming the latest wild Pokemon to join the Rising Voltaculars is exactly what I predicted to happen in this episode, but I couldn't predict just how great this story was. It's a rarity in the anime to see Pokemon be the main focus of scenes. They're almost always playing off human characters, but this episode saw a lot of Pokemon-heavy moments that relied on the viewer to pay attention and interpret what was happening without being able to understand any of the dialogue. This was a welcome change of pace and something I hope we get to see more of. Sure, the human characters in the main cast are all cool and interesting, but getting a chance to see the Pokemon shine on their own is awesome as well. It adds on to the overall world building of Pokemon Horizons because now we have a greater understanding of and attachment to these background characters that live aboard the Brave Olivine. They even got to be the focus of the eye catch during the mid-episode ad break, and this is at least the second time in Horizons that these eye catches kind of spoiled what's going to happen in the second part of the episode, which is an odd choice. Other than that though, I have a really hard time finding things I didn't like about this episode. Sure, it may not be one of the greatest episodes in Horizons thus far, but it was such a fun watch that just made me smile. I wonder if this running gag of Fuecoco slipping on Poltegeist's tea will continue on now. I could see that happening. And will we see some more action from Captain Pikachu's Pokemon Fight Club? I can't say that with a straight face. This was so ridiculous and I absolutely loved it. I am as happy as a Poltegeist to say that I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10 rating. So yeah, I've said before that I like these episodes that are just random days aboard the Brave Olivine, and it's these episodes that provide us with great opportunities for character development and world building. I've waited this entire series to see another wild Pokemon join the family on the airship, and I'm just so pleased at the way this ended up playing out. Looking ahead to the next episode now, and we're getting right back into the thick of it with the hunt for Lucius's 6 heroes. Without really trying to, the Rising Full Tacklers may have stumbled upon Lapras, and Terapagos being drawn to the sound of this Pokemon makes me confident that it is one of Lucius's 6 heroes, so we'll see how that goes next week. But that's not all, because we have a special preview to talk about. These are nothing new for Pokémon Horizons. We've gotten a ton of these so far, and they usually just look ahead to the next 2 or 3 episodes, so we won't have to wait too long to see what's happening in this preview. This all but confirmed that they are going to encounter the Lapras that Lucius used to travel with. I mean, Dot putting up reports of Mist suddenly appearing in this area sounds real familiar to the way they've previously found members of the 6 heroes, and this adventure should be exciting with it being sea-based, so Ludlow might get in on the action more than normal. Terapagos also looks like it might regain its Terastal form, which is of course perfect timing since the Indigo Disc DLC is going to get released immediately following this series of episodes. Let me know what you think is going to happen down in the comments. Will Lihu and Roy obtain another one of the 6 heroes already? With that, I am pretty much done with this video. I was excited to actually make my review on Friday this week. Thankfully, I had a ton of time off because of the holiday over in the United States. Happy late Thanksgiving to anyone who celebrated. Looking forward, I don't know when I'll be able to post reviews in the future, but I do know I'm going to WWE Survivor Series War Games today, which I'm really excited about. That's completely unrelated though, so I'll stick to the script and say thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.